Okay, my friends, I actually think this is going to work. I am hoping that I can bring you a Facebook Live, and I believe that I am, and I can, and I am, and I will. So those of you who don't know why I'm saying what I'm saying, I have had some trouble with Facebook this morning, and I have tried and tried and tried to get online and get my video public, and it is now public. So we are going to be able to have a Facebook Live. I'm really happy about that. I want to thank you all for being so patient. Those of you who are coming on recording, ignore everything I'm saying. People are starting to pop in and pile in, so I thank you for waiting. I thank Riikka, who's been locked away in the waiting room for the last almost hour. So this is obviously going to go longer than we expected in terms of the end time because we're starting so late. But I thank you guys for your patience. Facebook is just not my friend. I mean, I've said that before, and there's just no getting around it. So let me do my usual. Hey, Angie, Judy, and Lindsay, Nee and Lisa, and Elizabeth and Betty, Renelle, Terry, Amber, Linda, Margaret, Rosemary, Pascal, Terry, Riikka is watching, Tracy, Susan, Lisa, Linda, Vanessa, Kiki. I saw the word Vanessa. Who's that? Anne, Tracy, Maria, Cheryl, Danielle. All right, so I am happy, and I know Riikka's happy, and it looks like you guys are happy too. Hey, Jennifer, hey, Sharon. So we're not going to wait that much longer to bring Riikka on. I'm just going to let some people find us and realize that we are actually live. Good morning, Sharon. Hey, Kiki. Morning to you too. Hey, Becky. They always go longer, and it is the best. It's true, Elizabeth. If I say my Facebook Live is an hour, it's probably 4 hours. And my 15-minute ones go on a couple hours. Hey, Noreen, Cami. So thank you guys for bearing with me today. Riikka and I have had this planned now for almost a month. She's a member of my creative team, and each month, one person gets just to have this Facebook Live interview. So she's been waiting, a couple months since we started last month. And so I am truly happy that I can bring it to you. If you see me looking up and down, it's because I have my laptop here. I'm looking straight at you through it, recording on Zoom, and I'm streaming and watching the comments on Facebook on my iPad, which just magically floats right above my laptop. Hey, Faith. I sound like the woman from Romper Room looking for her magic mirror, looking in her magic mirror. That is so funny. Hey, Tammy, Jacqueline, Barbara, Renee, it is working great now. Delita's here. Worth the wait. Thank you, Maria. Hey, Ann. Hey, Barbara. I am happy I worked it out too. Hey, Karen. This was not how I wanted to start this Facebook Live. Hey, Chris, I made it. So yeah, technical glitches. It's not even worth going into. Facebook decided to do an update literally at the time as I was connecting Zoom to Facebook, and that's where the problem started, and it kept defaulting my privacy settings to only me. Once I figured out it was on only me and I'm the only one who could see, then I changed it to public. And then by the time I got to my Zoom and set it up, they kicked me back to only me. We went back and forth. I got that one text post somehow to work on my Facebook page because I was so quick, but then as soon as I started this up, but anyway, that's just boring because we're here now. We're here to have fun. I'm hoping everybody's doing well. Hey, Linda, Tracy, Judah, Sue. Oh, so good to see you all. Karen, Leanne, Ginger, Isabella, Shannon. Oh yeah, I'm here. Hey, Marion. Watching for the first time. Love it. I love when new people join me. We're going to have some fun today. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time, very little bit of time, continuing to welcome you here. I just want to make mention of one or two things that are coming up. And then it's Riikka. It's all Riikka. She's the star of the show today. I know many of you, if not most of you, know her, but we're going to get to know her better. As always with my conversations, there's nothing planned. There's no discussion in advance about what we will talk about or what we won't talk about. And I love that spontaneity. And it always makes for an interesting live. Hey, Christine. Hey, Patricia. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Geja, Beth, Jan, Christina. We got a good group. Judy, Karen. I am so happy you're all here. So just a couple announcements and then on to Riikka. Only an hour late, right? That's not too bad. Okay, first of all, I want to mention something that I posted on my Facebook profile a few days ago on 12/12. I think it's easy to remember, 12/12. That's December 12th. I'm going to be having a mixed media marathon. What is a mixed media marathon, you may ask? It's kind of a party, it's a celebration, it's a class, it's a discussion, it's a pop-up, it's a giveaway, it's everything. So on 12/12, I'm going to host this event on my Facebook page. You are the best group, Jan, it's true. On my Facebook personal profile called Mixed Media Marathon from 9 a.m. Nope, scratch that, 10 a.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. And I know that doesn't work for everybody. I apologize about that. Actually, scratch this all. I'm going to start all over again because I just realized I gave some bad information. So I'm going to just go back and pretend I didn't even start. Welcome the few extra people that signed in. Hey, Kay, Karen, CJ, Beth, Celia, Mandy, welcome. So I want to tell you a little bit about an event that I wish I could rewind and discard what I said before. So I'm going to tell you about this event. It's going to be called the Mixed Media Marathon. It's on December 12th, 2020, soon. And the idea behind this is that it's basically an all-day and evening kind of art celebration for the holidays for all you guys. There is an entry fee. I'm just going to put that out there right away. It's $25. And basically what you're going to get access to a private Facebook group where the event will be held. So this is open to everybody, but you have to register. I'll tell you those details later. And then get the link to the private Facebook group. And basically on that day, 12/12, which is a Saturday from 10 a.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, and then again at 9 p.m. that night, we're going to be having lots of things. There's going to be a schedule posted. It's going to be a series of demos. I'm going to consider the demos almost like mini classes. There's going to be guests. So there are going to be people popping in and popping out. There's going to be giveaways every hour of stuff. And who doesn't like a stuff giveaway? There's going to be sort of pop-up things. It's going to be fun. We're going to have some chats. We're going to do the green light special. Thank you, Angie, for that, where people can join me on my live. We're gonna figure this all out. And there will be a schedule. And then at 9 p.m. that night, after a break, because we're all going to be exhausted, there will be a block party. And I have some fun stuff planned for that. So there'll be more information coming out very soon. I'm working on it this weekend. I will give information about registration. You register through my website in my online shop, and you pay through PayPal. It's $25 for the day. And we're going to have fun. And, you know, I don't know how people are going to take to this. I think it's going to be like a day of celebration. So I'm hoping lots of people come. But you know what? If it's a small, intimate group, I'm happy with that. If it's a huge, large group, we'll make it intimate, and I'm happy with that. So I haven't done anything like this before. This is sort of the new way of being. I'm trying some things out since I'm no longer able to, for the moment, travel and teach. So we're just trying some things. So I hope you guys, it resonates with you, and those of you who join me really have fun. More info soon. Yeah, so then, oh, some of you got it on your calendar. Thank you so much, guys. Hey, Jane, hey, Karen, hey, Kathy, hey, Rita, hey, Hazel. We got a large group here today. This is good. Dawn and Lane and Karen and Shannon. This is so good. This is so good. Hey, Ann, Pam, Lisa. I think it's going to be fun. So you know what? Let's bypass all the other announcements. Riikka has been so patient. She's just been behind the scenes. Let's bring her on. You guys, I know, are going to welcome her. We're going to find out more about her, and I'm going to have some questions for her. You can have some questions for her, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to bring her in from the waiting room, and this will just take, just a few seconds till she's joining us. And we will go. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Karen. Hey, Nancy. Thank you, guys. Hey.
Hi.
I am thrilled that you are
Yay.
here.
It's working. It's working. I hope everything is working so you can actually see and hear me.
Yes, I see. I know the comments are going, and it doesn't say only me now. So I know you've been listening. I just announced this event I'm having on 12/12, and now people's comments are catching up to what's going on behind the scenes. Love, 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 Riikka. Hi, Riikka. Lots of
Hi.
hearts. Now, are you able to watch Facebook as well, so you can see the comments?
Well, I have my phone there, but then I would be like this, and that's not that nice. But I have it quite near.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is, if I feel like I need to share something from the comments, I will. But I wanted to tell you I am sharing 1,001 floaty hearts, floaty heads, thumbs up. Here's Riikka. Welcome, Riikka. Hi, Riikka. Hi, Riikka. Lots of exclamation points. Welcome. Hi, hi. Yeah, you're woohoo! You're getting a lot of love. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
So
so happy
I
to
am.
be here.
Yeah, and I'm so happy you're here too. I love these lives that I'm doing with the members of the team, and you are such. Oh yeah, you're getting so much love. You are such a big part of the team. I cannot tell you and everybody out there how happy I am that you decided to join me, and you're part of it.
I'm happy to be invited, honored, really, to be a part of the team. That's like a dream come true, really. So,
Well, I've been following you for a long time, and loving your style and your creations, the way you style your photos, your just sort of way of being. I just really like that, and everything, and I've gotten to know you a lot more, and everything that I thought about you has just completely come true. So that's the best. So I let everybody know in advance that there's no plan here, which means it can go any direction. But I have some questions for you, um,
yeah,
that I think other people might be interested in, and I kind of want to hear a little bit about your background in terms of. I know you had a training in fashion, and I know you were seamstress for the National Opera. I don't know if I'm saying it right, in Finland.
yeah.
So like
Suomen
these things are so
kansallisopera.
cool. Okay, okay. You say it better than I do. Could you just tell people like sort of how you wound up from fashion to that kind of work to mixed media? Because I don't even know all the details.
Yeah. Well, back in 2001, actually, when I graduated from Finnish Lukio, which is something like secondary high school or something. The Finnish school system is so different compared to American one. But anyway, I had two kind of plans to go to university and study chemistry or then go to something completely different. And there was this kind of open day in the university where people could familiarize about what the university work would be like or studying there. And in the middle of that lecture, I realized that this is not for me. Even though I love to do studies and essays and research, I realized that the first maybe 1 year, 2 years would be just listening to somebody like babbling. And I thought that I couldn't do it, or at least it seemed like that at the moment, that it would be more like just reading and nothing coming from within. Let's say I couldn't do anything with like my own hands or with my own inspiration because, well, naturally you have to start someplace. But that made me realize that university wouldn't be for me. So instead, I decided to go to Polytechnic and study fashion. So I graduated 3 years later with a degree in designing, but my area was fashion design. And even during that, education, all my trainee periods were in different theaters. That was really my direction to go. So afterwards, I graduated. Then I actually got a job as a fabric salesperson. And the first day I was there, I got a phone call from the Finnish National Opera saying that, do you want to come to work for us? Like, yes, I do. Let me just reinvent my whole schedule. So for maybe 1 year, 2 years, I was doing 2 jobs at one go. So I was a fabric salesperson, and then in the evening I was sewing dresses. And well, the biggest change was then that all the seamstress jobs were like just a short period of time.
Mm.
They weren't like regular steady work, so it wasn't like until future. So during one point there was a gap between 2 projects, and that was Christmas time. So I applied to a local warehouse and actually got a steady job from the interview. And that was my first steady job. And it was a good timing because we were just getting married and had a honeymoon. And after that, we had 2 kids. So that was the biggest change. And to mixed media, that led that I got through it with scrapbooking. So I started scrapbooking when I was expecting my first daughter. And about when she was maybe 6 months, I found, well, first I added just a few splashes of gesso. So that was my first mixed media. But gradually, by the time my second daughter was born, I really started treating the papers with different mediums. And after that, it's been, well, continuing even more and more. But that's kind of the long story, how I became involved.
When you were in school and training, and even before the scrapbooking started, had you been creative as a kid, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always done different kind of projects. I drew a lot when I was a kid, painted, and I also attended this art school for kids. It's like well, we worked with clay, we worked with tempera, we worked with Chinese kind of ink drawings. There was different kind of areas we could try, or monoprinting, lino. I'm not sure if that's an English word,
Yep.
lino printing,
Yep.
or would cut things.
Yep.
So it was really great to experiment with different kind of materials. So
I want to join that program. It sounds great.
Yeah, it was really handy.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of composition, like color schemes and that kind of stuff as an early age. So it was wonderful.
Yeah. So you really had a basis for creativity.
Yeah. And my father is a carpenter by trade. So
works with his hands.
Yeah.
Makes things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So how did I'm just looking at the comments. How did you I'm not sure if everybody knows. I'm sure everybody knows. Anybody who follows you knows that you have had some great opportunities in terms of working with lots of different artists and companies, and you know you definitely have a lot of experience with design teams.
Yeah.
How did that? Do you remember your first, and how did that all morph into one of the directions you've chosen to go with your creativity?
I remember my first design team was a Finnish shop called Ökömökö, which was like shop selling scrapbooking supplies. And I'm not sure if the second one already was a magazine, or if there were, I can't remember. They are in my blog, but I'm sorry, I can't remember. But along the way, the biggest jump, let's say, was I sent a couple of layouts to Scrap 365 magazine because they had like the open call for certain galleries, let's say. And after I sent a couple, the editor-in-chief connected, like, sent me a mail that, do you want to be a part of the design team? And I was like, yes, I do want to be, because I was so surprised about the invite. I had been scrapbooking for maybe a year or something. So it's totally beginner, but I guess she saw something.
Well, it's always nice when somebody reaches out to you, to the person. I do not know if this is true, but I'm guessing there are people who are watching who have considered joining design teams, or who have thought about it, or, you know, maybe now will think about it. So I am curious if you have any like tidbits of advice. Like, is there any way you would say, you know, this is sort of the right way or the wrong way to go about either applying for a team or choosing what you send in terms of images, you know, to help anyone else with the experience that you, using the experience that you have had?
Well, nothing new under the sun. Let's say in terms of advice, it's just be persistent. I applied because one of my dreams come true was Prima marketing design team, and I applied to that team at least 3 times before I got actually invited. But then I was like 5 years in that team. But it's and also kind of, it's not personal, so you have to kind of separate yourself in a way. I know it's your art, so it's really hard to be like given that denied, or somebody says no, but it's usually not personal because there's a lot of things kind of affecting to the decision. It might be just about where you live. So there's, for example, 2 applicants from the same area and they can only take one. So you both may be like brilliant and inspiring and using the products in creative ways, but they can only take one. So and in well, if it's something you really want, then be persistent. That's kind of my only goal. And well, a true love shows through. So if you're applying to the team, usually you use those products already, because it's, well, I guess there's people who apply to team and buy something for that specific application, but usually it's kind of, it shows through the projects that you actually use those items already.
I have lots of comments on what you said, because everything you said was, in my mind, spot on. Jan said, I just joined a design team. It's so confidence building. I love it, which is awesome. Confidence is a conversation I've had many, many times with many artists, how important it is to be confident, to feel that confidence. It's just, it's hard to build sometimes, just depending upon who you are and your experiences, but it's really, it's kind of key. You said a whole bunch of things. You said one thing about being persistent, which I think is really important, because persistence certainly shows that you have strong interests, and perseverance is a great quality. You know, any person running a design team would love that. You said something that it goes so much further than just the design team. You said, don't take it personally, which is one of the hardest things to do, but it's so important, because almost everything we do as artists who have art as a career, it's all about not taking it personally. And I talk about the thick skin. You do a show and you put your work up for sale and nobody buys it. You apply for a grant, you apply for an event, an art show, you apply to be on a design team and they say no. The rejection, it just comes along with this experience, and it's not easy, but it really isn't personal. But
Yeah.
it's so hard to get that. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's your
Yeah.
art.
Yeah. It's like a piece of you. It's like your baby. So naturally it's hard, and it doesn't get any easier.
No,
Even though there's like 20, 30 times you get that no. But still it's always hard. But
you might even get
trying
harder.
to keep that mindset that it's not personal. They are not saying no to you. I'm waving. My girls are going to bed, so good night.
Okay.
Bye.
Night,
So,
girls. Karen
so
says, learn to not take things personally for all of life. A good
yeah,
lesson, hard. I know that, from my own experience, this is my first creative team. And I went back and forth for the longest time to decide whether I was going to just do an invitation only or an open call. I knew with an open call, there will be a lot of benefits. There would be people who I wouldn't have known were even interested. There would be people who maybe I didn't even know who would magically appear. And I knew that the people who applied would be fully committed to wanting to do it. That
yeah,
being said, I also knew on a negative side was that I'm going to have to reject more people than I'm going to accept. I have a very small team. And I will second what you said. A lot of it had to do with the makeup of the team, in part location. Like that's not an excuse. Like I knew I needed some people from the US and I needed some people outside the US. I had way more people from the US that I would have been 1,000 times happy to invite. Same with people outside. But I really wanted my team to be a blend. And because of that, I just could not have everybody who I wanted on it. And
yeah,
literally, whatever it was that made the choice, it was a much more factors than just like where did you live, but that was a factor. And
yeah,
in the end, it was choosing everybody together. And there could have been a lot of other team members who would have done equally well. So everything you said, I agree with you.
yeah,
Catherine says, so incredibly true with writing and books too, everything we create. Mary Helen said, non-acceptance when you are not juried in might just mean your sacred marks fit in a particular exhibition. Exactly. I have been rejected from a few art shows in New York. And I've gone to the shows, and of course I was upset and annoyed and frustrated. And I went to the show and I realized, I don't know why I was rejected because they don't tell you, but I'm actually think they did me a favor because my art never would have worked or sold or fit in with that particular show. And when I started to look at it that way, not just from my own little myopic, self-centered point of view,
yeah,
but from the bigger picture of where the person or the people who are sponsoring are coming from, it makes a lot more sense and it's easier to not
yeah.
be as
But that jump from like you're egocentric, you don't have to be selfish, but naturally we kind of tend to think about ourselves
mhm.
first. So jumping from that point to actually seeing the big picture, that's a big loop.
It
Like
is.
you really need to kind of educate yourself. And I honestly think that it's very okay to be really upset, to be annoyed for 1 day, 2 days. Like it's kind of a grieving process, even
Mhm.
because you've given something out of yourself, like offered your art, and it's a piece of you. So naturally, you need that kind of grieving process. But in the meantime, naturally, you need to think about that it's not a light decision made, but it's okay to feel upset, but not maybe pour it outwards or more inwards, let's say. So even if you're not happy with the choice, it's okay to feel that way, but it's then not okay to express it in
in the
all
way
kinds
that
of ways.
we all know that what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's also important to work on feeling it and then letting it go as
yeah,
well, and being able to move on. And you know, it's funny, as you speak and someone commented, a lot of these issues that we talk about in reference to art are so related to life in general. I mean, it's
yeah,
life lessons, and it just happens to be related to our art. Um,
yeah.
so
One more thing about the applications. I see a lot of, or when I was more applying to teams, let's say, one of the things was that you need to have your own style. But
mm,
I'm sorry, I disagree with that.
mm,
Because, for example, 3 years ago, I did something completely different than I do now. My friends say that I have a specific style. I can't maybe see that much, but also you have to be kind of true to yourself. So yeah, there's that style, but you're also allowed to grow and bloom and change. So having that kind of you need to have your own style, because if you're just starting, or if you're doing things for 20 years, or if you've done things 20 years but then you're reinventing yourself, naturally that changes. So in my mind, that's not a key issue. Let's say be true to yourself, but it doesn't have to be boxed. Like I've always done ATCs, so I can't do card.
right. I have this conversation a lot with artists, and I'm going to say a few things and go back and read some comments about how sometimes as an artist who has a following, you get known for something, you kind of get pigeonholed. And it's interesting because, well, you're talking about how just as a, I'm using my own words, but as a creative person, you morph and you change and you grow and you shift. And, you know, maybe what you're doing one year is not what you're doing the next year, and you should be allowed. That's just how it works. But there's definitely sometimes you feel pushback from people. So like in the pushback can be a lot of things. So it could be that people outright say, like literally say things like, I don't like what you're doing now. Why aren't you doing what you used to do before? You know,
Mm-hmm.
or more self-generated realization that people don't like it because maybe you're used to a certain number of likes or comments on a post, and then you decide to try something different, and like the comments are halved. We talk about
Yeah.
this a lot with some of my artist friends about that people are other people who are watching or who are buying are not always amenable to those changes. And I think what's really important is the authenticity, and you have to do what you have to do. So, you know, I'm not one to create for the sake of sales. I mean, I want sales. I'm not lying here, but I'm not going to say pump out 80,000 of the same thing when I creatively want to do something different because that's what people are liking. I think part of it is finding your audience, and audiences
Yeah.
come, audiences go. But I think it's really important that you do what you want to do, and then your people will follow or they
Mm-hmm.
won't. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, like if an artist that I admire shifts their direction and all of a sudden starts working in an area that just doesn't resonate with me, I'm still going to admire that artist, but it may not pull me in the same way. And I have
Mm-hmm.
to recognize that that may be true on my side as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of, you as an artist or creative person, you need to allow yourself to explore, but also you need to kind of allow your audience to shift. Let's say, for
Mm-hmm.
example, if you are a card maker and the person you're following starts making, let's say, canvases, I can totally agree that maybe then you unfollow or don't comment as often because it's not your cup of tea.
Right.
And well, that's okay as well, as well,
Sure. And
because
it's not a reflection on the artist
no, no,
at all. Yeah.
definitely, again we come to that. You don't you need to not take it personally.
Mhm. So what
Yeah.
other people are saying about that, Christine says this is very helpful, not taking things personally, but also letting yourself feel the disappointment is useful in so many ways in life. Um, Janine says we need many voices and perspectives. Everyone had a bias towards things they like, and it's only through widening your circle that you stretch and grow. Very true.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you, Janine. Celia says if you change style, you might get different people. That is very, very true.
Yeah,
Donna says I'm here with my M&Ms.
I have
Thanks,
tea.
Donna. Yeah, I have tea too. Beth says, great conversation, true for any business owner. Thank you guys for this. Zoe says, I started by making cards, but really struggle now to do them. Now very much mixed media. Do have a bit of an eclectic style, though, can be dark, but also can be colorful. I think I admire that. Like, I agree. I think it's really important that you look to create your own style. Like, what I mean by that, to echo what you said, Riikka, is that it should be authentic. It should be yours. That doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean it has to be the same
Mhm.
with all the things you do or the same year after year, but it does have to be yours. And I think that uh, even if it's hard to define your style, when I've had this conversation on many lives, you probably do have a style. And it's sometimes easier for other people to see it. And I do think that even though I think there are definitely artists out there that even though they may do lots of different things, like maybe they do assemblage work and they also do fiber work and they also do collage and they do cards and they have their own scrapbook at home. I find that even without you realizing it, often there's a style and a voice that cuts across
Yeah,
um, all the different medium.
yeah,
Um, I
because
really do see that.
yeah, they are coming from within.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, at some point you might let's say for the better word like copy, because well, even the art trainees used to copy old masters. So if
Right,
you're
exactly.
just starting, that might not be your own voice if you're copying somebody else's, but usually there's something like you use your colors. You have a specific color scheme that you are normally drawn to.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, as you can see from above, that's blues and greens. And if you then do something like copy somebody else's work or idea, then probably you're going to use your go-to colors
Mm-hmm.
or some embellishment or something, because you're translating it to your own language. But it takes time to kind of realize that. And like I said, my friends say that I have a certain style, but it's so hard for me to realize that. For example, when I do um, every now and then I actually make really clean and simple cars, at least in my measure, like clean and simple. But even with those, they see me, and
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's really difficult to see me in that as well as something really heavy mixed media.
Sure,
But
there's definite differences, but likely it's your hands, it's your creative mind. There's probably a thread. I think sometimes as artists, we can be a little too almost too close to our work and don't have the distance to be able to reflect on that. I do remember back in the day, I don't remember when it was, but I remember, after I had blog, my blog, and maybe it was even after Facebook came. I'm not sure, but there were all of a sudden comments people would leave. Oh, I knew this was a Seth piece before I even saw that it was on your feed or something like that. And I remember in the beginning thinking, you did? Because I don't even think it's like, what is a Seth piece?
yeah,
And I think it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice and a lot of feedback before you really become comfortable with even knowing what your style is, and then recognized for that. And a
yeah,
lot of time, may not just be months, it might be years,
yeah,
which can be frustrating. And honestly, I think also that, maybe there are, I don't know, I've never really contemplated this, but maybe there are people who don't really have a style. And it may be for lots of reasons. Maybe they're not letting themselves have a style. Maybe
mhm,
they don't feel confident enough just to really let go.
mhm,
And their level of comfort is more, oh, I love the style of that artist. I'm going to kind of use their products and work kind of in a similar way. And it's not that you don't have a style, you just may not be in a position where you have that comfort level. And really, until you are ready to take some risks and make a mess and make some really bad art, I don't think, you're ever going to be able to really get to the core of what it is that makes you the artist that you are.
Yeah. I have a piece by Linda. I can't say her last name just right now, but it states that creativity takes courage.
Oh, yes.
And I think in a way that's so true because let's say to me, when I start a project, I usually don't have a clear plan. I maybe have a color scheme or I have a product I want to use or something. And then it's kind of just jumping off the cliff and see what happens. And to me, that's a natural way of creating.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see how that can be really intimidating for some people. Because to me, it's just about that process. I let the project lead me. So even though I was going for yellow, let's say, in the beginning, but somewhere along the way it took a turn and it wanted to go green. So I just switched to green. But that kind of organic, let's say, approach can be so intimidating to some people. And
Yes.
we are all different. So it's very okay. But at least to me, that's kind of the joy of creating. And also you need to be, like you said, prepared for those ugly pieces.
You get them.
Maybe perhaps. But let's say one of my biggest revelations was back in the day when I was doing scrapbooking, like it's only paper. And that really freed me. And since then, I've not created something I have tossed away because there's always a way to make more layers and more layers. But kind of you need to be prepared for those ugly stages at least.
Yes.
It will look awful in some stage, but then you have to be just thick-headed and push through at something and now it works.
This is part of how I teach. When I teach, I talk about that stage that nearly every piece goes through. I say that there's no rule that says anything along the way needs to look good. And in fact, often it's a hot mess. And, what you're describing to me is almost by definition what mixed media is. Mixed media, if you are too controlled or this is for me, I can only speak for me. If you are too controlled or you have too much of a defined image in your head about where it has to go, for me, that does not work. Because as soon as I add one color and it mixes unexpectedly with the color underneath, or it covers something, or it splatters, I have to then go with what the layer has done, which often, as you say, it's completely different than what perhaps I had imagined in my head. And now I never imagine anything in my head. I mean, I never, ever, 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 ever have an idea of what a piece is going to look like in the end. And much like you, I might have a start. It might be a color. It might be an object. It might be a word. It might be a piece of ephemera. That's what's going to get me going. But where it ends up, only the mixed media gods know. I want to read a few comments because there's actually been a ton of them. I'm really behind. Question for me, am I planning a Zoom, this is a total aside, a Zoom bento box workshop, please? Bernadette, I do not know. I'm not sure. I am going through a period right now of planning for 2021, trying to figure out what 2021 is going to look like for me. So maybe, but maybe not. That's the best I can say. Okay, you have to be true. Beth says you have to be true to yourself and you change over time. You will find people who connect with you when you're authentic. Susan says, Riikka, I love the picture frames behind you. Nice. Bernadette says, I find it so difficult to reproduce the same item twice. Work has to evolve, doesn't it? Yeah, I can never, every once in a while when I do something that's unexpected and not planned and it works really well, I forget and I try to recreate it and it's always the worst art I've ever made.
The
Jan says,
only, sorry,
no, go ahead.
just I do Facebook Lives every now and then I do have a sample project, but I actually need to make notes while I make it. Like I
Oh,
glued
okay.
this, I put that layer, because otherwise I have no clue what I did. And then it's hard to reproduce the same thing.
Yes, very, very true. And I've seen yours, and you have a consistency that you're able to achieve, but they always look a little different.
Yeah.
Which is what happens, and it's great. Celia says it's true. I don't think I have a style of my own, but my sister can see it. I can see you too in your pieces. And Jan said that to Celia. I love that. Christine says, I wonder how much the place influences art. Seth's work often evokes New York City and city life. Does living in Finland influence your style, Riikka? Good question.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's the cultural background, it's the atmosphere, it's the language. Naturally, it's a part of me, because I think that every project I do echoes in a way, let's say, my my choices and me in that way. So I'm definitely, and I'm, for example, drawn inspiration from Finnish music or poetry. So definitely, yes, it influences
That
that one, for example.
can you pull it down?
Let's see.
Yeah.
If everything comes down.
Sorry, I just want people to be able to see it. It's really hard to see it. Oh yeah, totally different when you see it like that. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's an old piece, but it's like two stylized, let's say, trees here,
Mhm.
and this one is, I have no clue, but it's Vanamo in Finnish. It's a little forest flower.
I love it. I love the tremendous contrast that the two flowers have against the sort of the richness of the dark background.
Yeah, it's like dark forest, and then there's these white little flowers, very delicate ones.
Okay,
So
that
yeah,
definitely comes from home.
yeah, that's something I've seen in a forest near our summer cottage. So echoes.
It echoes where you live. So many comments. I don't think Isabella says, I don't think I have a style. I like trying different things, but one thing that talks to me is color. I love bold colors. To pull back is interesting, so much learning. I think that sometimes when people think of style, if you think on a more micro level than a macro level, I'll explain what I mean by that. You might find that you actually, even though you're saying right now you don't have a style, that you might. So when I think of style, like, and I look at people's work, sometimes could be something as their style is that they always seem to capture movement in their work, or they have amazing composition, or they have this great balance of color, or they tend to have pieces where the eye is guided across the whole piece. It could also be something as sort of broad as they work minimally, or they have a lot of sort of white space. There's lots of ways to characterize your style. And if you're looking at definitions that may be too broad, you may never find your style. So that's a suggestion to go at that really smaller level, to see if, oh yeah, you know what, I realized that card that I made that has so much, sort of movement, and the way that the circles are, they just guide you. And then that canvas I made, I see that too in those squares. Like, you need to kind of look at that kind of level,
Yeah,
sometimes
very true.
to find your style. Rhonda says, I find when I take classes, I basically duplicate the project, but find later that certain techniques show up in other projects. Yes.
Yeah, that's the key point, because when I'm taking a class, I'm not, well, I'm creating in a different way than I would at home. And I always say that to my students, that naturally now you're doing it differently than you're doing it at home, because it's a certain phase, and it's a certain like anxiety maybe you're feeling if you're trying something new or something. So usually what I tend to guide them is go with the color scheme you like. Because if it's new, if it's scary, if it's new products, at least the one thing you like about your project after it's done, you like the colors.
And there'll be some
So
comfort in that when you're
yeah,
making it too.
yeah. So even though it's like, I don't quite like how it looks, then it at least it's your favorite color scheme and you're like happy. That's turquoise. I love turquoise. Because when you're at home, you then kind of filter those ideas through your own process, and it starts to look completely different. But naturally, during the workshop, you kind of are so concentrated on the new things that you don't have the time or the energy to produce your own art at the same go. But
Yeah.
do I make any sense, or can you kind of catch me what I'm trying to say?
It makes sense to me. I can't speak for everybody, but I think so. I think it was pretty clear, actually. And Rhonda, what you said, that's to me, as an instructor, that's how I define a successful class. I don't necessarily, let's say I'm teaching a class that's project-based. I'm happy if you end up loving the project and you make 50 of them. But for me, a successful class is I've taught you all these techniques through this project. And then you've taken some of those and kind of twisted it in your own way. You've applied it to your own work that you typically do that may not have anything to do with my project. When I find that, then I feel really, really good about teaching. Because then I know I've taught you more than just how to make, this particular clock or project or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
There are thousands of comments here. I am so behind, so I'm gonna have to start skipping some, but know that we love them all. Tracy asked a really good question. How do you get self-confidence in your work? I've been doing artwork for years. I don't think I have a style either. So I'm gonna throw that very difficult, tough question over to Riikka. How do you get self-confidence in your work in general? How does someone achieve that?
It's a learning curve, let's say. For example, I constantly question my work. So I'm not sure, I can only speak for myself, but in my opinion, you are never there. Or if you are there, that might end up badly. But you have to be comfortable in your own skin or in your own abilities, or let's say you have to be comfortable with your shortcomings. So what I can say is maybe just repetition. Just go for it. It might be hard to just create and create and create. And like you said, I'm not totally sure you have to find your own style. At least you don't have to realize yourself that you have one. Ask your friends, ask the creative community, for example, the group, like, do you see a common thread? Because like I said, I can spot my own style. Like, let's say, well, I do have some elements and I like certain colors, but still it's so hard to evaluate your own pieces or your own style. So if you really want somebody to put those style into words, then ask your friends, ask your relatives, ask the group. But in the same go, do you need that? Or if you're just feeling happy to create, then just create. Because I would say that the confidence comes with repetition, knowing your products. Let's say I can, for example, again, an example, the first Facebook Live I kept, I was so nervous. But along the way, let's say about third or fourth, I got more relaxed, because even if something unexpected happened, for example, one time I forgot to bring the heat tool. So it was like, okay, now we're moving this aside and letting it air dry and doing something else. So it's kind of the way that it comes through realization that you are okay, even though you miss something and you know how that should go, but in the end it didn't go. But yeah, it's repetition, it's learning from the mediums, and biggest thing, learning about yourself. How do you want to work and how do you work?
Yeah, I echo all of that. You said so many things that resonate with me, both in terms of my own experience and just things that I know and understand. And, you know, I was having this conversation with somebody else recently about that lots of people get so frustrated with their art, feeling like they're not achieving. And then you said repetition. And I'm saying the same thing with a different word. I say practice. And then I was talking with this other artist about athletes, how, you know, no professional athlete is going to show up at a game. And no, you know, I know you're not all professional artists, but no professional athlete is going to show up at a game and not having practiced and put the time and the energy and the effort and the motivation and the bad days and the good days in. And really, art is the same way. Danny Gregory once said a long, long time ago, he's a journal artist and drawer, he said, the best way to, you know, learn how to draw is to draw. Like, that's bottom line. The more you do it, the better. Confidence does come with some success. So the more effort and time and energy you put into it, the more success you'll have. And when I say success, I don't mean success defined by how other people, how many likes you get, sales. Success is that you see from like day 1 to day 40, you compare your first sketch to your 40th sketch, you see the difference. That is success, and that gives you that confidence. I think also success, confidence as an artist, for better or for worse, connects to just confidence in yourself in all other regions. So if you happen to be a very confident person, you're probably going to bring that. And if you have a lot of self-doubts, you're not. And Riikka, you mentioned something about, I don't remember how you phrased it, but I think just being okay with getting everything wrong. So like you were talking about the heat tool, I can't tell you how many times, because it happens every time I teach, that I forget something, always at home, and I have no option and I got to roll with it. I can't tell you how many times students ask me questions that I have no clue how to answer. I am comfortable in just saying, I don't know. I'm not going to answer you. And I always say, I'm not going to say yes or no if I've never done it before, because I don't know. Let's try it. Or you try it and tell me. Being okay with not knowing it all, being okay with making a bad piece of art, being okay with that, that actually helps you get more confident, because having that mistake doesn't drag you down.
Yeah, it's well, again, about the not letting it affect you, because if you end up spilling your, let's say, acrylic paint or acrylic ink all over the place, naturally you're getting annoyed because then you need to clean instead of making something. But if you kind of beat yourself with a stick about it, like, oh no, I did a mistake, it's not getting anywhere. Like, you're just stuck to the mistake, and in the end it might cause a special reaction, let's say, on top of the project, which otherwise you never would have found out. That putting these together, it creates a totally like ombre effect or something.
Yes.
So kind of being comfortable with who you are, even with the shortcomings.
Yes.
That's the thing.
100%. Isabella makes a comment that I've experienced too. I find it funny that a piece I may not like too much, others love it. My mystery. I can't tell you how many times I have made a piece that I've really, really loved, and I put it on Instagram, and, you know, it just does not do that well. You know, if we're looking at likes or comments as a way to judge that. And then I'm like, oh my God, I haven't posted on Instagram in 3 days. I don't have anything really good. I have that picture that it's not really good, but I got to get that up there so I have something on Instagram. And that's the one that everyone loves. There's no telling. And that's okay, because I don't like everything you like, you don't like everything I like. That's just the
That's the beauty of it.
beauty of it. Exactly. Renell says, my inner critic says I'm copying someone else's style when I use techniques I've learned in their classes. I know it's just a need to make more art on my own. Renell, again, that's the whole practice thing. It's fine to copy in a class. That's part of what a class is. You're learning. It's a technique. It's a direction. It's an approach. And then if you then do have the time, and we don't all have the time, but if you do, you then say, oh, what would happen if instead of using that, I use this? Or instead of going and doing their third step, I'm going to skip that and just do my own step. That's kind of how you make it your own. But if you don't, truthfully, we all have such limited time, you may not even have a chance to do that.
Yeah, but partly it might be that you need to, let's say, repetition, that you do it like 10 times, because the time you get from 1 to 10, it's probably more in your style than the first one. But the other option is skip the stages from 2 to 9 totally and just leave it for weeks, months, because then you don't probably remember all the steps, even though if you don't follow the right out, or let's say, because then you're kind of reinventing, like, I can't remember if it was this first or that first, but let's try this. That's the other way if you don't have time to like do it many times.
So this is actually a really good thing for those of you who get frustrated that you don't have a chance time-wise right after a class to actually do anything, and you approach it later. Rather than being frustrated that you don't remember the steps, be happy you don't remember the steps. I love that. That's a nice twist. So many comments. I love this. This is incredible. Riikka, you're going to have to go back and read them all, which I know you will.
I'm definitely going.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm like, I don't even know how far behind I am. I've actually caught up now. Okay, that's me always going rogue even in classes. You know what? Yes, exactly. As a teacher, I encourage people to go rogue, honestly. But you do need to kind of know the instructor, because different instructors have different ways of working and expectations. I encourage people to go left instead of right, because what I'm teaching, I'm not always, most of the time I have a project in the class, because that's what usually the, say, store owners want, or a lot of the students want to be able to leave with something. But what I really teach, I teach technique, and I pretend I'm teaching a project. So because I'm teaching technique, and for me it's all about the technique, I'm fine if the project that you make doesn't look like mine, and kind of prefer that, not because I don't want you to copy me, but because that means you did your own thing.
Yeah.
And you allowed yourself to do your own thing. But there are definitely teachers out there, if they see you doing something that you shouldn't be doing, they're not happy. They're personally not my kind of teachers, but some people respond well to people who are strongly guiding you. So it's just finding your match when it comes to that.
Yeah, definitely about the match. I'm the same. I'm teaching techniques or mediums through a project, because I've always thought, well, as a student, let's say, it's fun to have something ready to go home. It's not maybe a pile of paper. That's fantastic as well, but in a way, it's more rewarding. Let's say that you have something finished when you leave the workshop. But to me, that's always, like you said, kind of a victory or a good thing. If somebody wants, like, I'm doing cards and they want to do an album instead, like, yeah, go for it. Just, I have materials for a certain project, but if you brought your own, or if you can translate them into another one, go for it.
Definitely.
So naturally, my steps are going to be then for a card, but you just measure them smaller or larger, depending what you're doing. Like, go for it.
Go for it. I think I don't know if this is true. I'm actually curious. I'm going to ask all you peeps out there, and I'll try to keep up with the comments. I sometimes think that those of you guys who have partners, whatever that form takes, not partners are not always fully understanding of what it is that this whole world is about. I'm sure that's true with a lot of you. And so you come home from a class that you've spent money on and time away from your partner, and you bring home a stack of papers that are like jelly plated, and that's what you're going to show. You're probably going to get a different reaction than if you bring home like a full on, book or something that could hang on your wall that's finished. Still, they may not understand, but at least they can, you know. So I'm just curious, do any of you guys, and you don't have to be that revealing, deal with that, like that, the frustration of a partner not quite getting it, or like, well, why are you spending money on a class because all you're bringing home is paper? I'm just really curious. So I'm just throwing that out there, and we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes. I see people saying absolutely no, yes. I'm not quite sure if they're saying that to what I just said or something else. Oh, Karen says maybe that's why I don't have a partner. LOL, that's funny. LOL. My husband is an artist and he gets it. Woohoo! Way to go. Mary Helen says, I never finish in the class time. I am always reassuring the process is the most important aspect for me. Ken, to her husband, gets it after 34 years. Sweet. Renelle says, oh yes, not just my hubby, but my friends as well. Yeah, so true. My hubby is completely understanding of my creativity, says, if I've enjoyed it, that's all that matters. Jan, what a lucky woman.
Perfect.
Elizabeth says, no partner, no problem. I love it. Yeah, so we're getting the full flavor. I get full support and he's always happy to see what I did. Beth says, not at all. I do my own thing and my partner doesn't care. Thankfully, my husband encourages all my creative pursuits. My hubby doesn't always understand my art. He loves it that I learn and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like, even that's a nicely put, or a nice idea, that even if we don't understand it, it's like the most important is that you're getting something out of it. You're happy. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm happy in that way that living room is kind of my studio. So there's a niche behind our sofa. That's my area with paints and stuff. And our bedroom back there is filled with my husband's instruments. So he's a musician with a day job. We're both we both have a day job, working 9 to 5, let's say. And then we have a hobby that then takes a lot of our free time. But as it's kind of creative process for both of us, we really kind of get that.
You get it. Yeah, it might be different, but you get it. It looks like a lot of people it's a mix, but are sharing that their partners are supportive. However, they're also saying that, sometimes people just don't get it. And I think we deal with that with mixed media. You get the question. So I can't tell you how many times I've been asked, so you just made that book, what are you going to do with it? And Riikka's kind of talking about, she said this in so many ways this whole time. She said, you don't have to have a style, just enjoy what you're creating. It's not always about the object that comes out of it. It's also about the process, which I know a lot of us understand. I think also confidence, somebody said that's why we have our tribe. I think confidence also comes from that. If you have people around you who do not understand what you're doing, and certainly who don't support it, it's hard to maintain that level of confidence, because often confidence, comes, while confidence in a perfect world should come from within, because then it doesn't matter how people react. Sometimes confidence comes from outside. And I think that's very true, unfortunately, in the world we live in with social media. And it's so easy to compare this artist who's doing the same thing I am, is getting all this love and likes and comments and an audience, and I'm not. And that's just really hard. And it's a blow for people's confidence, I think. And it's just the nature of the unfortunate side of the internet, the problem side of it.
Yeah, naturally, you always are happy about a little, let's say, boost or or big boost, but everybody needs that once in a while because uh, I at least think that everybody questions their own work at times. So if you then get a thumbs up or a heart to your creation, that might kind of tip the scale. Like, yeah, that was
Yeah.
good. Let's go for another one. Or if you don't get it, it might stay put, and you're like questioning, should I maybe do something else, or like blah. But yeah, naturally, like you said, in a perfect world, it should be just coming from within. But that's kind of our way. We are fragile in that way, that we need the boost from the
Yes.
like-minded peeps, the peeps that we resonate with.
I think one of the things that I am most happy with about 2020 is the way that the creative community group on Facebook has developed, because it started in December of 2019 and it just happened to be there, I think, at the right time. But the level of support and connection and validation is, to me, just off the charts. And I think, you know, if you're looking for a little bit of confidence, um, you know, sharing in the group is a way to feel appreciated and loved. I really do that. It's you're all an amazing group. I mean, we're close to 5,000 now, and I can't say that all 5,000 participate, but you know, no matter how many people you have in a group, not everybody participates. People do different things. They don't go to the group, they go and don't post or comment, but they're there. They're very active, etc. But this group has just turned into something so beyond my hope. Exactly. And it's all because of you guys. So I thank you so much. And anyone who happens to be on here and doesn't know about it, it's on Facebook. It's an open group. It's called Seth Apter Creative Community. You do have to request to join. If anybody's waiting to join, like haven't been accepted, I just wanted you to know that as long as you answer the question, you are accepted. Like, it's not like you have to be vetted. The question is the most basic question. It's, why do you want to join the group? The only reason why I ask that is because I prefer to have people who, you know, if they could, at least my hope is if they can answer or are willing and find that question to answer, then there's a chance they might participate in the group. And so I will tell you, because this is just how it's set up, that every day what the way I've done it, just so you know, I'm transparent. I give everybody 4 weeks from the time they apply to answer the question. And if you don't answer the question, you don't get in the group. If you answer the question wrong, which lots of people do, you still get in the group. So the question is, like, why do you want to join the group? And lots of people just say yes. So I'm assuming they read it quickly as, you know, do you want to join the group? If you just say yes, you're in. So if you've ever applied to the group and you're not in it, that's why. It's just, you know, a basic, very basic. But if you don't know about the group, look it up, join, answer the question, and then you'll see what we're all talking about. I venture to guess most of you are in the group. I'm thinking that. Are we having an anniversary party? Judah wants to know. Oh, yes, we'll have an anniversary party. I don't remember the exact date, but I have it written down because I think it says it in the group in the first post. So let me make a note of that. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. We've been on, I guess, a little over an hour together. We've been trying to be on for 2 hours. So I have a question for you. And then I think we'll wind down after that. So sorry, what was the group? So the group is called Seth Apter Creative Community. So if you just type that in a search in Facebook, it will take you there. And please answer that question. So my question to Riikka, one of the things I love about this world, this community, is that we're so international. We're so different. We're all over the place. You guys, if you don't know by now, I love diversity. I love differences. I embrace that. I look for that. That's part of what I like and why I chose my team. Um, and I love learning about other people. And I love, 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 love traveling. Part of why I travel and teach and had spent so much time in that is because for me, that's an education. And hearing about other people from different worlds is great. So I want to find out from you, what is crafting like in Finland? Like, I really have no clue. Like, what's hot? Um, is it behind other countries? Is it ahead of other countries? I would even love to know about the art scene. Um, yeah, I'm really, really, really curious. I've never asked you that before, so I'm really curious about that.
I would say that through the internet, let's say, we are more in connection with everything, but usually everything takes a little bit longer to come to Finland than Central Europe, let's say. So we are a little bit behind. What's hot? Well, I only have like a little niche where I can say what I feel is the hot thing right now. Um, there's a lot of mixed media crafters in Finland. So we are dipping our hands into different mediums and learning about them. But also card making is kind of the biggest craft, let's say, but at least I feel that way. The other big community is the planner community, which started about 2 or 3 years ago, and it's going strong.
What
But
I'm going to ask you a question about that. What focus on planner? Like, there's bullet journals, there's art journals, there's more traditional planners. Like, is there a
yeah,
focus?
more like calendars and bullet journals,
Okay.
but they are kind of moving. I've been following one of the groups, so they are moving into mixed media. I've noticed that they are discovering some like gesso, or they are adding different inks to their projects, which as a mixed media crafter, I'm like, yay!
Yay.
So that's kind of fun that there's different audiences. Um, well, otherwise, well, Christmas cards, that's kind of something that brings usually people together or people to craft stores.
Mhm.
So, and especially I'm thinking this year that people are really making handmade Christmas cards because of the situation we all know. Um, what else? Art scene. Well, that's really going like that's eclectic. Though, so there's. I'm lucky enough to be living in Helsinki, so we have a lot of galleries and a lot of art museums. So there's different styles here. Um, what else? Well,
Is
like I said, we are a bit behind with all the trends. I think Norway is the kind of leading in the Nordic countries, but we're following, we're behind.
um, I know a lot of times in the craft world, in our world, um, if you name a country, you might be able to identify an artist, a crafter, artist, product designer, that kind of person, um, connecting with that country. And I'm not saying there's every country has one. I mean, the United States has so many. Canada, like, I know certain artists, designers who, when I think about, like, if someone said to me, well, what's a big designer in Canada, I would be able to reel off some names. So other than you, in addition to you, is there somebody that I know that I didn't even realize is from Finland? Is there like a design company based there, crafting wise? Is there like the one local teacher that's really, really big? Is there somebody that I need to know that I don't, or we all need to know? Or is
Well, crafting companies, there's like smaller brands, uh, like stamp designers, or then uh, like planner sticker designers. There's quite a few, But what probably isn't that known that Fiskars is a Finnish brand.
Really?
So, yeah.
Did you hear that, people? Fiskars is a Finnish brand.
Yeah.
Everybody, break out your orange scissors.
Yeah, I'm looking for mine, like they're way back there. But that's a Finnish brand. But
Okay.
unfortunately, let's say it's better now in the US than in Finland. For example, there's punches abroad rather than actually in Finland. But there's a little place near the capital region called Fiskars. So that's the first place they were. Then designer-wise, there's Marimekko naturally.
Someone mentioned that in the comments.
Yeah, there's Hakman, there's Iittala.
Wait, what's that one?
Iittala. That's like glass design.
Okay, I don't know that. Okay.
Oiva Toikka, Eliel Saarinen. But, well, going to music, Kaija Saariaho. So there's a lot of people, but maybe not that known that they're Finnish.
Right, okay.
For example, Kaija Saariaho, who is a Finnish contemporary musician, lives in Paris, I think, or France anyway. But like crafting wise, there are several different people going in their own directions. I only know kind of the mixed media persons. So there's I'm so bad with names. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna get you off the hook. Several people have mentioned some names, so I'm just gonna throw them out to you. I think they might be perhaps more artists. I'm not sure. So Christine mentioned well, you say it so much better, but in the US I say Marimekko. How do you say it?
Marimekko.
Marimekko. Okay, I like that. She also, and I think you mentioned Alto.
Yeah, Alvar Aalto. He's an architect and designer, and also his wife. Come on, Aalto. Do you remember? I can't remember his wife's name, but Aalto anyway. Another Aalto. They were a couple designing.
I love that. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm going to just say it. Isn't the artist Päivi Eerola from Finland?
Yes, Päivi Eerola, Pionian Parakeet.
Okay. Like I said, you say it better than me. Eliel Saarinen?
Yeah, Eliel Saarinen. He's one of the architects during the national uprise or like cultural uprise, which happened in beginning of 1900s. So it's like Akseli Galleen-Kallela and Eliel Saarinen and okay, I am now losing the names, but they're Sibelius, for example. They are all from the same kind of pool of people that kind of created the national gallery items or that classical Finnish design in that period of time when there was the what's the style, the national style? Oh gosh, sorry. It's getting late. It seems because my brain is freezing.
Well, it's 9 o'clock there. 9:15 there. It's late.
Yeah, it's not that late. It usually should be like. Come on, I did my essay about that thing. I'll say it when it pops in.
As soon as we stop talking about it. Diane says, "I love the music Riikka uses for her lives."
Yeah, my videos most of the time has the music by my husband.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. He's watching too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
in the room. There. Is he going to show himself on camera?
Are you going to? Yeah, he is.
Nice. We get to meet hubby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my husband.
Hey. I think this might be a first.
Yeah, he's played live, but not being in a craft live.
Yeah, exactly. You're always going to remember your very first crafting video. I love it with a big audience. So can you tell us a little bit about your music?
I could try. It's usually my problem is to make for Riikka music is that my style is usually much more darker. So she always asks me to make something happier for her. But it's like ambient music with a Finnish take, so it's a bit more industrial, a bit more harsher than normal ambient music, but it's like ethereal.
And do you have I mean, you don't have to have a favorite, but do you have a particular instrument that is what you work with when you're creating, or?
I have a lot of.
Okay.
I've actually changed instruments a lot of times. Yeah. Most of my instruments are self-made nowadays. And the latest one.
Wait. You make them from scratch?
Yes, he does.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing.
It started by adding some gel medium to a already made guitar base. He wanted to have a certain pattern. And then afterwards, he's now building his own guitars and other instruments. Bring that one.
This is fascinating.
Yeah. So
I hope we're not embarrassing him. Catherine wants to know what his name is.
Kenneth Kovasin, and the music project is Outcry. I can link it up. Yeah. It's hard to show.
Wow. That is impressive. Riikka will type in the comments at some point later on. So I have to ask this question. Which one of you has more stuff?
I guess we're kind of, well, I have more of little tubes because they are smaller in a way, but there's a lot of all the both of us.
I'm looking at your shelf above you, and you're a lot of the work, at least on that shelf, is on the smaller side. I don't think your husband would be able to put all those instruments on one like thin, narrow shelf.
Let me try to show you. Is our background okay-ish? I guess let me take you on a tour.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I'll take that one.
You guys, we are getting a true on tour. This is so unexpected.
So over there, can you see those?
I'm not. Yeah, by the window?
Yeah, they are smaller things. So they are actually strings to an instrument.
Okay.
So they are his stuff in a smaller scale on a shelf.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's something he just had an exhibition of, like an instrument by German, was it? No. German inspired instrument called, well, you can say the name.
It's an instrument called the saxophone, which was created in the 80s in Germany. So it's a small wooden box, and then the wood carvings that I just showed are connected to that, and you play it with a bow.
So when you had an exhibition, what was the venue? Like a gallery or a music?
Yes.
Sound gallery.
Sound gallery? Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. First of all, I have to tell you that people are absolutely loving this. And everybody is coming out as a musician now. All these people are saying, I play this, or I've always wanted to play that. I thought about playing that. You're getting lots of hearts and floaty heads and thumbs up. They just think the tour is great. This is amazing. This has totally opened up a whole new world for me. I am going to start having, the artists that I bring on have their friends, their partners, or animals, or whoever happens to live with them. I'm going to have them join. And may I say that your home is very clean?
Thank you.
And I only say that if mine isn't, Like sometimes the idea that I would just walk into another room without preparation, that would not happen on one of my lives. Not going to happen. This is such a pleasure to meet you. I know when I've had conversations with Riikka on Zoom, just like between Riikka and I know you're in the room. And so it's kind of neat to actually get to know you. And I know
nice
that
to see you too.
everybody is finding it really, really fun. I'm looking at the comments. They're great. You should, if you get a chance, just take 5 minutes and check it out.
Yeah, we can scroll through them together.
Several people are admitting they're not musicians. Bonnie says, I play CDs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good start.
I do that too.
Yeah. I love it. What a privilege to meet him and see their home. So sweet. Thanks, Wendy. Yeah, these are really interesting comments. We're going to go off on a whole different tangent. So I thank you for joining me. We're gonna wind down and sign off, not because we couldn't do this for another hour, but because at 3 o'clock I have a Zoom meeting and I'm gonna have to eat something before that. So Riikka, this is so much fun. Thank you so much. Oh, I got one more question just to end with. Are your daughters creative?
Yes, they are. My older one does videos. She loves like little pet shop, so she uses those and makes her own storylines and backdrops and kind of videos of those. And she also draws. And my younger one mods, how do you say it, like alters dolls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Nice.
she has some older Barbie or that kind of dolls, and then she paints them and does the hair again. Yeah,
I just love this. Obviously, this creativity oozing through that household, which is just so exciting. And you know, I'm a little biased just because I just think creativity is so emotionally satisfying and therapeutic and everything. So when I know that there's creative parents who have passed that on to their wee ones, that just always makes me happy, because then it's going to be in them, and they're going to be able to look to that and grow from that. So that's so exciting, so exciting.
Yeah, and also that's kind of in my mind, let's say it's something you need in a modern world. Not everybody needs to be able to draw, let's say, but you need to have some kind of creativity, because the problems, let's say, we're facing usually need something out of the box kind of solutions, and you need to be creative to get those solutions.
Yes.
So whether it's with words or with music or with whatever, the creativity or creative point of view is always handy.
I agree. Yeah. Similar to what we said before, that a lot of what we talk about with art, it's just a reflection of the bigger issues of life. Whether it's confidence or level of comfort or being able to define yourself and all of that. People are, I can't thank you enough. People have absolutely loved this. They said, like, a secret behind the scenes. Thank you both. So much fun to meet Riikka and her husband. It's so interesting and inspiring. Great household of creativity. Incredibly behind the scenes interview. Yeah, this has been amazing. I thank you so much for taking the time out. I am so excited to see what comes out from you with the team for the the ongoing months and way beyond. And I'm just so appreciative that you've made this chosen to be connected with me and be part of what I think is just a phenomenal team. And I thank you really from the bottom of my heart. And I thank you also for your very strong patience as we spent an hour trying to get this thing happening. You were just cheerleading me behind the scenes with messages and making suggestions, and hanging out. So I thank you. Now go have some dessert.
Yeah, a little bit more tea.
More tea, I like it. And I'll talk to you soon, and I'll see all you peeps on the internet. I'll be doing a bunch of lives next week. I'll let everybody know when and what coming up soon. And I'll remind everybody about 12/12. We have the Mixed Media Marathon. More information about that coming soon. But as always, thank you. Everybody have a good day, good night, and please, 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 please be safe. Please
Yeah.
be safe.
Thank you ja kiitos. A lot of hearts and hugs to all of you.
Very sweet. Thank you. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off now. Be well. Take care. Bye, Riikka. Thank you.
Bye.